Morning, guys. It is Friday, and Maryland loses a heartbreaker. No other way to put it. Bruce Thornton banks in a three with 7 seconds left, and that's it. That's it, man. It just terrible, really terrible. From a gambling perspective, it doesn't get worse than that. We're maybe going to get to overtime, so at least I'll split going over 72 and a half. That doesn't happen, and the plus two, which was a gift that one doesn't hit either as they lose by three. They dominate the first half, dominate. They're up 39-22. Played so well in the first half without Gillespie. So it's hard to pin that on. They just were out of sync in the second half. Gillespie, his numbers weren't great. The offense just couldn't make some easy shots. Felt like some shots that, you know, typically would go in, did go in. Then they're still up 11 with 7 minutes left, and they just couldn't. They couldn't close the door. They let Ohio State hang around, and eventually the home crowd propelled them through it, and that was it for Maryland. They lose 73-70. Devastating loss, really devastating. I want to focus on the positives because it's just like, there was a lot there. Team still has a really high ceiling. Jay Young pops in there and plays like great defense. I love his defense, but they're not good enough unless everybody's playing well. And Queen is like an average game for him, just a step slow in certain areas. That's been the reoccurring theme with him. Reese was fantastic. Rice was really good. Miguel made some big shots, but not enough from Gillespie, and the defense wasn't good enough down the stretch. So that's that. But yeah, the way they played to start the game, they clearly showed that the ceiling's really high. Thornton was the best player on the court at the end, and Ohio State wins. So Ohio State wins. If you bet on Lamar for MVP, that's really shitty. I didn't do it. I had a feeling he wasn't going to get it. Even I started leaning in the direction of like, man, they gave him the All Pro. Now the odds have gone in a different direction, but the odds for so long were so favorable for Lamar as an underdog that I just figured the sports books would lose way too much money if Lamar got it. The numbers, though, I mean, it's really embarrassing for the league, in my opinion, because it's like, what is the rationale? You're just making things up. You have a rationale that says Bills had less offensive talent than the Ravens. That seems like so silly. Like how do you first of all judge that? Number one, and then maybe if it's a really, really, really close, you can go that direction. But James Cook had a great year for the Bills. I don't know. That one's a really tough one there. Plus, the head-to-head, the Ravens dominated, and every statistical category, including rushing attempts and rushing yards, goes to Lamar. It's just rushing touchdowns. So Lamar was MVP. He doesn't get it. Just more salt in the wound there for Ravens fans. And yeah, we got the Eagles and the Chiefs here on Sunday. I'm going to do a whole pod on all the bets and everything in the next, put that out on Sunday. But I wanted to do about a few minutes here on the NBA for the trade deadline. For those of you that are betting the NBA, interested in the NBA, I got a lot of thoughts here. It was really fascinating what happened at the deadline. So I'm going to go team by team for about 10 minutes or so, and their chances now basically to win the finals, where they stand, what their goals are, and why they did what they did. So we'll basically just go in order all the way down. So through the West, there's 12 teams now, actually 13 teams out of the 15 that want to make the playoffs, and only two teams that are in tank mode, that got rid of their best players, that have no desire to win. So those two teams are the Pelicans and the Jazz. They're just done. The Blazers are the 13th team. They're actually the hottest team in the NBA somehow. They've won 6 in a row. They're still 23 and 29, but they want to make the playoffs. They're not in tank mode. Will they get there? Probably not, but they're trying to make the playoffs. So the Blazers didn't do anything. They stood pat, and yeah, I'm going to work my way up. So the Spurs are the 12 seed. They're 22 and 26. They get De'Aaron Fox, best move possibly they can make. They kept Chris Paul, so he's just going to stay there and help Fox. Probably the right decision. If the Spurs get in, they're going to be a problem because, this Wemby character is ridiculous. So can they get in? I don't know, because as you make your way up, there's only room for 10 teams. for the play-in situation. So 10 teams get in, seven plays 10, eight plays nine. They have their little play-in tournament, so you end up with 8 teams. So for purposes of today, we're trying to figure out what 10 teams are going to be there. The Spurs are flirting with it, but they got work to do. They should get there, I think, but we'll find out. Warriors are the next team. They lose to the Lakers last night. They get Jimmy Butler. So let's see. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, Steph Curry. Is that good enough? I sure think so. Like probably, to win a couple playoff series. But that's if you start from scratch. Now that you're already a game under 500, 30 games left, something like that, right? 31 games left. And I don't know. A lot of teams are hungry. This Jimmy Butler situation is fascinating. I don't know how he fits in Golden State. Golden State's all about a read and react, move without the ball, set picks, off screens, a lot of things that require, working together, practicing together. And the West is really tough. I'm not rooting for it. The Warriors gave up Wiggins and Schroeder and Kyle Anderson. So it was really just Wiggins was the main piece and a first-round pick. And yeah, not a fan of Jimmy Butler, not a fan of the way he behaved. I don't think the Warriors are going to get in. I think the Warriors are going to be on the outside looking in. They're at least going to be in the play-in tournament, and I have a feeling they don't win there. I don't think they're going to be one of the 8 final teams. So bearish on the Warriors, bearish on the Kings. They're the next team. They're the most likely team to fall out of it. They're not tanking, though. They got rid of Fox to get Zach LaVine. By all accounts, is having a great year. They're going to roll with, LaVine and Sabonis. They got, what's the other guy? Keegan Murray, who's a really good wing player. Excuse me. So the Kings are trying to win, but at the same time, they got Valanciunas as well. That's who I was thinking of. Their center. I don't know if they have the horses, but they're certainly trying. I don't think they get there. I think them and the Warriors are on the way out. Remember, 4 of these teams won't make it. So at this point, I got the Warriors and the Kings not making it. And I also don't have the Suns making it as one of the final 8 teams. If they get to the play-in tournament, just like the Warriors, I think the karma's bad. They don't have any leadership. They're weird right now. What are they, 25 and 25? Durant, Booker, Beal. They traded Nurkic basically for a couple role players. They got Grayson Allen. They got undersized centers. They just play weird basketball, uninspired basketball, no rhythm to it. A lot of your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Bearish, certainly on the Suns. I don't think they get there. The Mavericks, I love. I talked about this the other night. I really like the Mavericks. They blew out the Celtics yesterday without Anthony Davis. Klay Thompson was on one. Yeah, I'm big on the Mavericks. They're 27 and 25. I think they're one of the top 6 teams. And if they have to play in the play-in tournament, I think they get there. Kyrie in one game. I like that. I like the Mavs. I can't wait to see it. Anthony Davis. So, yeah, Mavs, I'm in on. The 3 teams I have out are the Suns, the Kings, and the Warriors. And it'll be between the Spurs and the Clippers. The Clippers' record's pretty solid. They're 28 and 23, but they didn't really improve the team. So they're relying on Kawhi and James to kind of get through it. James has been great. James Harden, if you haven't watched him, he really has been great. The role players for the Clippers, they're so well coached that I probably favor them over the Spurs, but mainly because the Spurs are starting at a deficit. Clippers just don't seem to have enough horses if they're playing an elite team. They'll beat the teams they're supposed to beat, which is more you can say for some of these other teams that take a night off. But against the best competition, you saw the Lakers destroy them the other night. I just think the Clippers are missing a guy. The Timberwolves are hot now. They were struggling. They're actually better without Julius Randle. So are they 29 and 23? They'll make the playoffs, but they were projected to be way better than they are. Julius Randle came over for Karl Anthony Towns. The Knicks certainly got the best of that trade. They just are a better team without Randle. He's been hurt. They're better without him. They'll be there at the end. I don't think they have enough pieces. They're worse than last year, but they'll probably win the first round of the playoffs. But I think they would lose in the second round depending on the matchup. And I'm not sold that they win the first round of the playoffs. They're sitting at the 6th seed. The Lakers are my team. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I like everything the Lakers have done with LeBron and Luka. They added Mark Williams. It's probably the most significant trade that won't get a ton of attention, unless you're really locked into the NBA. But Mark Williams, a big center from the Hornets, he comes over, and it's a perfect trade for the Lakers. They complete the makeover. It's going to be LeBron, Luka, Reeves, Hakamura, Mark Williams, Jackson Hayes, Gabe Vincent. It's like 7, 8 guys. Dorian Finney-Smith, that makes 8. Their 8's probably the best 8 in the NBA, at least in the Western Conference. If they can bump around with Jokic, they're better than the Thunder. They're better than the Grizzlies. Like LeBron scored 42 points last night, and 17 rebounds. I don't know. You're running out of words. He's the best player in the NBA that's not Jokic. And now they add Luka, who's pissed off. Yeah, you're going to look at the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, as long as both of them are healthy. So you got the Lakers in there, and then the top guys are the ones that didn't do anything. So the Nuggets, the Rockets, Grizzlies, and Nuggets and Thunder. So the top 4 teams, they're the younger teams, and they didn't do anything. Rockets are right there. Rockets won't win in the first round. They've had a great season. They're just not good enough. Period. The West is just too good. I imagine they lose in the first round. They decide not to make the trade for the All-Star player. Probably the right decision. Figure out what to do next year. Take your lumps in the playoffs. Rockets aren't a threat. Nuggets are a threat. Nuggets, they should have gone back-to-back Western Conference champions last year. They lost Game 7 at home to the Timberwolves when they were up by 20. So that one stings. They decide to move off of Caldwell Pope. And they got, Christian Braun in there. They got Russell Westbrook. They are what they are. They're Jokic and Murray, with 90% being Jokic, but that's how they run their team. Westbrook's a good addition. They didn't feel like they didn't do anything. Still like Jokic over everybody in a 7-game series, as long as the rest of the team is playing, good enough. I just think Jokic is too much. They didn't do anything. The Grizzlies traded Marcus Smart, really for salary cap reasons. He wasn't super much part of their rotation. The Grizzlies are fascinating. I talked about them with Jalen Wells, their rookie, the other day. The Grizzlies have a great team. John Morant rebuilt his image, rebuilt the way he's playing basketball. Jaren Jackson's really good. He's going to the All-Star game. Grizzlies are locked in at a 2 seed right now, 35-16. I don't know if they win in the first round of the playoffs. It's interesting. They got Zach Edey, the big guy from Purdue, to guard Jokic if necessary. I like it. John Morant, they've been monitoring his minutes, so he hasn't played a tremendous amount. We'll see. The Grizzlies are really good. You don't want to play them in the playoffs. I can't wait to see how they look at the end. And then the Thunder got Chet Holmgren back, the young rookie from Gonzaga from a year ago. He basically hasn't played since the first couple of weeks of the season. They didn't make a move. They're going to roll with Shea, Chet, Jalen Williams, and then a bunch of role players, a bunch of guys that play well together. I don't think they win. I don't think they win the West. I just think the Lakers and the Nuggets are better. I think the Grizzlies are right there with them. I think the Mavericks are really good. So I think the Thunder needed to do something. They opted not to do anything, and they kind of are what they are. They're 40-9. They're gonna get the 1 seed. Like that. That's I don't think that's up for debate. They got like a 7-game lead. There's only 30 left. They're a great regular season team, so Thunder will get the 1 seed. But yeah, right now I'm going to favor the Lakers and the Nuggets, and then the next tier for me would be the Grizzlies and the Mavericks. Maybe the Mavericks in the same tier with the Nuggets and the Lakers, because I really like what the Mavs did. That's it for the West. In the East, it was just you got 4 teams that I would say realistically can win the East. Everything else is, window dressing. But the 4 teams in the East, Milwaukee, even though they're the 5 seed behind the Pacers, not really counting the Pacers as a chance to win the East. The Bucks swap out Middleton for Kuzma. I mean, if you watch the Wizards, Kyle Kuzma's terrible. Maybe it's because it's the Wizards. Maybe he'll be better with Giannis. We'll see. Giannis and Lillard didn't get a chance to play together in the postseason last year as Giannis was hurt. So we'll see if Giannis gets it done. He's obviously capable of doing it. I would rank the Bucks, though, a distant 4. I think the Knicks are a better team than the Bucks. I like the Knicks a lot. Jalen Brunson, I really like, and Josh Hart, I really like. Karl Anthony Towns has been way better than expected. The Knicks are going to most likely have home court advantage. If they were going to end up playing Milwaukee, it's not really shaped up that way right this second as they're battling with Boston with the 2-3. They lost to Boston last year. Boston's probably still the better team, but I like the Knicks more than the Bucks. Boston, I did like Boston as the one to come out of the East before the DeAndre Hunter trade. So Boston didn't do anything. They have the same team. And I just think Cleveland's better this year. I really like Kenny Atkinson as the addition. I think Cleveland matches up really well with Boston by adding DeAndre Hunter. Talked about it yesterday. You got Mobley, you got Jared Allen, you got Hunter, and then you got Garland and Mitchell. They're going to have the home court advantage. The coach is really good. I think the Cavs did enough to get back there. Would be kind of interesting if the storyline turns out to be LeBron versus the Cavs. If people think things are scripted, that would kind of fit that vibe. But yeah, that's my take on the NBA. I'm going to do a lot more NBA content and college basketball content here post Super Bowl. Super Bowl pod coming shortly. Have a good day. Happy Friday again. And yeah, this Maryland game was a little bit of a damper, so it is what it is. Yeah, yeah, hard to spin it forward, except future still looks bright, ceiling's high, but they got to finish these games. All right, have a good day. See you guys soon.